the moment you realize you need to change. At some point in life, almost everyone experiences a quiet realization. It usually does not happen during a dramatic moment. There is no loud announcement, no sudden event that forces the realization into your mind. Instead, it often appears slowly. You may be sitting alone late at night. You may be driving home after a long day. Or you may simply be going through your normal routine. And then a simple thought appears. Something about your life does not feel right anymore. Maybe you feel stuck in the same patterns every day. Maybe your goals no longer excite you the way they once did. Maybe you look around and realize that the person you have become is not exactly the person you once hoped to be. This realization can feel uncomfortable. For some people, it even feels frightening. Because once you see the gap between who you are and who you want to become, it becomes difficult to ignore. But this moment is not a sign of failure. In fact, it may be one of the most important turning points in a person's life. It is the moment when growth begins. Many people spend years living according to expectations that were created by others. Family expectations, social expectations, cultural definitions of success. These influences are powerful. They shape the way we think about careers, relationships, money, and lifestyle. And often, we follow those expectations without questioning them. We choose paths because they seem logical. We pursue goals because they appear impressive. We follow routines because everyone else seems to be doing the same thing. For a while, this approach can feel comfortable. But eventually, some people begin to feel a quiet dissatisfaction. Even if life appears stable from the outside, something inside them begins to question the direction they are moving. Is this really the life I want? This question is powerful because once it appears, it opens the door to transformation. The truth is that human beings are not fixed. You are not permanently defined by the person you were 5 years ago. You are not limited by the habits you developed in the past. You are not trapped by the decisions you made earlier in life. Identity is more flexible than most people realize. Every day, through your choices, actions, and mindset, you are continuously shaping the person you are becoming. This means something very important. You have the ability to reinvent yourself. Reinvention does not mean pretending to be someone else. It means intentionally evolving into a version of yourself that better reflects your true potential. It means letting go of habits that no longer serve you. It means developing new skills, new perspectives, and new goals. For some people, this transformation begins after a major life event. Maybe they lose a job that once defined their identity. Maybe a relationship ends, forcing them to reevaluate their priorities. Maybe they experience a failure that completely changes how they see themselves. But reinvention does not always require a dramatic event. Sometimes it simply begins with awareness. Awareness that the current version of your life is not the final version. Awareness that you are capable of more growth, more learning, and more meaningful contribution. However, recognizing the need for change is only the beginning. The next challenge is often much harder. Letting go of the identity you have already built. People naturally become attached to their current identity. Even if certain habits or behaviors are not helping them, those patterns feel familiar. Familiarity creates comfort, and comfort can make change feel difficult. For example, someone who has always believed they are not good at business may avoid opportunities that require entrepreneurial thinking. Someone who believes they are not a creative person may never attempt artistic or innovative projects. These beliefs quietly shape behavior. But many of these beliefs are not absolute truths. They are simply stories that were repeated often enough to feel real. Reinvention begins when you start questioning those stories. Is this belief actually true? Or is it simply something I accepted a long time ago? When you begin challenging these internal limitations, new possibilities appear. Skills that once seemed impossible to learn may suddenly become achievable with enough practice. Paths that once felt unrealistic may become realistic through gradual progress. The key is understanding that identity is built through repeated actions. If you consistently practice a new skill, your identity begins to shift. If you consistently adopt new habits, your behavior gradually changes. Over time, these small changes accumulate. Eventually, you may look back and realize that you are no longer the same person you once were. This transformation does not happen overnight, but it happens through intentional decisions repeated day after day. The moment you realize you need to change is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where you are no longer simply reacting to circumstances. You are actively shaping the person you want to become. But recognizing the need for change raises an important question. If reinvention is possible, how do you actually begin transforming your identity? How do you move from the person you are today to the person you want to become? That is exactly what we will explore in the next part. Breaking the limits of your old identity. Once you realize that change is possible, the next challenge begins to appear. It is not the outside world that creates the biggest obstacle. The real challenge is the identity you have already built in your own mind. Every person carries a story about who they are. Over time, that story becomes deeply rooted in the way we think, behave, and make decisions. You may not even notice it at first, but it shows up in quiet statements you tell yourself. I'm not the type of person who takes risks. I've never been good at speaking in front of people. I'm just not naturally disciplined. I'm not creative enough to do that. These statements may seem harmless, but they quietly shape your actions. If you believe you are not the type of person who takes risks, you will naturally avoid opportunities that involve uncertainty. If you believe you are not creative, you may never attempt projects that require imagination. Over time, these beliefs become self-fulfilling, not because they are true, but because they limit the actions you are willing to take. This is why breaking the limits of your old identity is one of the most important steps in reinventing yourself. The first step in this process is awareness. You begin noticing the internal narratives that guide your decisions. Pay attention to the moments when you immediately reject an idea because it feels not like you. Ask yourself a simple question. Is this actually a fact, or is it just a belief I adopted years ago? Many of the beliefs people carry about themselves were formed during childhood or early experiences. Maybe a teacher once criticized your work, and you concluded that you were not talented in that subject. Maybe a failure early in life convinced you that you were not capable of success in a certain field. But those experiences do not permanently define your potential. Human ability is far more flexible than most people realize. Skills develop through practice. Confidence grows through experience. Discipline becomes stronger through repetition. In other words, the person you were in the past does not have to be the person you remain in the future. Another powerful way to break the limits of your old identity is through experimentation. Instead of trying to completely transform yourself overnight, you begin testing small changes. If you believe you are not confident speaking in public, try sharing your ideas in smaller conversations. If you think you are not disciplined, start by committing to a small daily habit. These small experiments challenge your previous assumptions. Each successful experience becomes evidence that your old identity was not entirely accurate. Over time, These experiences accumulate. Gradually, your mind begins accepting a new possibility. Maybe you are capable of more than you previously believed. Another important principle in identity transformation is understanding the connection between behavior and identity. Many people try to change their life by focusing only on results. They say things like, "I want to become successful," or "I want to become confident." But these statements focus on outcomes rather than actions. Real identity change begins at the level of behavior. Instead of asking, "How can I become confident?" you begin asking, "What would a confident person do in this situation?" Then you take that action. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. Your mind may resist the change because it conflicts with the identity you have held for years. But every time you repeat the new behavior, your brain receives new information. It begins updating the story you believe about yourself. For example, someone who consistently practices communication skills may eventually begin thinking of themselves as a strong communicator. Someone who repeatedly completes challenging tasks may gradually develop the identity of a disciplined person. Identity shifts through evidence. The more proof your mind receives that you can behave differently, the more your self-image evolves. Another powerful tool for breaking old identity limits is changing your environment. Environment plays a huge role in shaping behavior. If you remain surrounded by the same influences that supported your old habits, transformation becomes much harder. But when you place yourself in environments that encourage growth, change becomes more natural. For example, if you want to become more ambitious, spending time with people who pursue challenging goals can reshape your perspective. If you want to become more creative, immersing yourself in communities that value innovation and experimentation can stimulate new ideas. Environment acts like a mirror that reflects the behaviors and attitudes around you. By intentionally choosing environments that support growth, you accelerate your transformation. However, breaking the limits of your old identity requires patience. Many people expect rapid transformation. They want to become a completely different person within a few weeks or months. But identity is built over years of repeated behavior. Changing it takes time. You will likely experience moments where your old habits return. Doubt may appear again. Some attempts may fail. This does not mean the transformation is not working. It simply means you are in the process of change. Think of identity like a path that has been walked for many years. The old path is clear and easy to follow because it has been used so often. Creating a new path requires time and repetition. At first, the new path feels unfamiliar, but the more you walk it, the clearer it becomes. Eventually, it becomes the natural direction you follow. Breaking the limits of your old identity is not about rejecting your past. It is about expanding beyond it. You are not abandoning who you were. You are building upon your experiences to create a stronger version of yourself. And once you begin breaking those limits, a new question naturally appears. If you are no longer restricted by your old identity, what kind of person do you actually want to become? What values should guide your decisions? What habits should define your daily life? Answering those questions is the next step in the reinvention process. And that is exactly what we will explore in the next part. Designing your new identity and future direction. After breaking the limits of your old identity, a new opportunity appears in front of you. If you are no longer restricted by the person you used to be, then an important question naturally emerges. Who do you want to become? This question may sound simple, but it carries enormous power. Most people spend years reacting to life rather than designing it. They respond to circumstances, adapt to expectations, and follow routines that were created without much intentional thought. But reinvention begins when you decide to design your identity deliberately. Instead of letting past experiences define your future, you begin shaping a vision of the person you want to become. This vision does not need to be perfect. In fact, it will likely evolve over time as you gain more experience and understanding. But having a clear direction provides something extremely valuable: clarity. When you know the kind of person you want to become, your daily decisions start to align with that direction. For example, imagine someone who decides they want to become a disciplined and focused individual. That decision begins influencing their behavior. They may start organizing their time more carefully. They may begin developing consistent habits such as reading, exercising, or practicing important skills. At first, these behaviors might feel unfamiliar, but over time, repetition transforms them into part of their identity. The key to designing a new identity is understanding that identity grows from consistent actions. Many people believe identity is something fixed. They think a person is either naturally confident or naturally shy, naturally successful or naturally average. But in reality, identity is often the result of repeated behavior patterns. Someone becomes confident by repeatedly facing challenges that require courage. Someone becomes skilled by practicing their craft over long periods of time. Identity is built through evidence. Each action you take becomes a small piece of proof that reinforces the person you are becoming. This is why small daily habits are far more powerful than dramatic but short-lived efforts. Reading 10 pages a day may not seem significant in the moment, but over the course of a year, that habit can expose you to thousands of ideas and perspectives. Practicing a skill for 30 minutes each day may appear modest, but after several years, that practice can transform into mastery. These small actions quietly reshape identity. Another important element of designing your new identity is defining the values that guide your life. Values are the principles that influence your choices when difficult decisions appear. For example, if growth is one of your core values, you may choose opportunities that challenge you even when they feel uncomfortable. If creativity is a core value, you may prioritize work that allows you to express ideas and explore new possibilities. If contribution is important to you, you may focus on activities that help others improve their lives. Clarifying your values provides direction during moments of uncertainty. When faced with choices, you can ask a simple question: which option aligns best with the person I want to become? Another powerful step in designing your future identity is visualizing the long-term version of yourself. Imagine yourself 10 years from now. What kind of skills would that future version of you possess? What type of mindset would they have developed? How would they approach challenges, relationships, and opportunities? This exercise is not about fantasy. It is about creating a mental image that guides your current decisions. Once you define the characteristics of your future self, you can begin acting in ways that move you closer to that identity. Ask yourself regularly, what would the future version of me do in this situation? The answer to that question often provides surprising clarity. If your future self is confident and disciplined, they would likely choose growth over comfort. If your future self is knowledgeable and skilled, they would likely invest time in learning rather than constant distraction. Each decision becomes a small step toward that identity. Another essential component of identity design is environment. The environments you choose strongly influence the person you become. If you spend most of your time in places that encourage distraction and negativity, maintaining growth-oriented habits becomes difficult. But if you surround yourself with people who value learning, ambition, and creativity, your mindset naturally begins evolving. This is why many individuals who successfully reinvent themselves intentionally change their environment. They join communities that support their goals. They seek mentors who have already achieved what they aspire to accomplish. They expose themselves to ideas, conversations, and opportunities that expand their perspective. Environment can accelerate transformation. But even with clear values, strong habits, and supportive environments, identity transformation still requires something else. Patience. Real change takes time. You will not wake up tomorrow as a completely different person. But every day you choose actions that align with your new identity, you move one step closer to becoming that person. The progress may feel slow in the beginning, but over months and years, those small steps create dramatic transformation. Eventually, you may look back and realize something remarkable. The person you once imagined becoming is no longer a distant idea. You are already becoming them. However, even with a clear identity and strong habits, one final challenge remains. Life will still present obstacles, doubts, and unexpected setbacks. Learning how to maintain your new identity through those challenges is the final stage of reinvention. And that is exactly what we will explore in the next part. Transforming your habits and environment. Designing a new identity is powerful, but identity alone is not enough. An idea about who you want to become will remain only an idea unless it is supported by daily action. This is where habits enter the picture. Habits are the invisible system behind every transformation. They shape the way you spend your time, the way you react to challenges, and the direction your life slowly moves toward. Most people underestimate how much of their life is controlled by habits. Think about your daily routine, the time you wake up, the way you start your morning, the type of content you consume online, how you respond to stress, the choices you make when you have free time. These patterns may feel small, but over months and years they accumulate into powerful results. Habits quietly build the identity you carry. If someone reads every day, their mind gradually becomes more knowledgeable. If someone practices discipline consistently, their ability to focus and execute grows stronger. On the other hand, if someone constantly chooses comfort over growth, they may slowly drift away from the person they hope to become. This is why transforming your habits is one of the most important steps in reinventing yourself. But many people struggle with habits for a simple reason. They try to rely only on motivation. Motivation feels powerful in the beginning. A new goal appears exciting, and for a few days you may feel energized and determined. But motivation is temporary. Life becomes busy. Unexpected problems appear. Energy decreases. Slowly, the new habit begins to fade. This is why successful individuals rarely depend on motivation alone. Instead, they build systems that make positive habits easier to maintain. One of the most effective strategies is starting extremely small. When people imagine building new habits, they often create unrealistic expectations. They promise themselves they will suddenly begin exercising for 2 hours every day or studying for several hours without distraction. But drastic changes often fail because they feel overwhelming. Instead, focus on habits that are so small they feel almost impossible to skip. Reading 1 page. Practicing a skill for 5 minutes. Writing down one idea each day. These actions may seem insignificant, but their true power comes from consistency. Once a small habit becomes part of your routine, expanding it becomes easier. Another powerful strategy is habit stacking. Habit stacking means attaching a new behavior to an existing routine. For example, if you already drink coffee every morning, you could attach a small reading habit to that moment. If you already exercise regularly, you might listen to educational podcasts during your workout. By linking habits together, you create natural triggers that remind your brain to follow the routine. Over time, the behavior becomes automatic. Environment also plays a crucial role in shaping habits. Many people try to change their behavior while staying in environments that constantly encourage their old habits. For example, someone who wants to focus on learning may still spend hours scrolling through social media because their phone remains within reach at all times. Small environmental changes can create powerful behavioral shifts. If you want to read more, place books where they are easily visible. If you want to reduce distractions, remove unnecessary notifications from your devices. The goal is simple. Make positive habits easier to start and negative habits harder to access. Another important concept is accountability. When you share your goals with others or become part of a community that values growth, your commitment becomes stronger. Humans naturally respond to social expectations. Knowing that others are also pursuing improvement can increase your motivation to remain consistent. But even with strong habits, supportive environments, and accountability, setbacks will still happen. There will be days when you miss a routine, moments when you feel tired or discouraged. The difference between those who transform their lives and those who do not is not perfection. It is resilience. Instead of giving up after a mistake, successful individuals simply return to the habit as quickly as possible. They understand that consistency does not mean never failing. Consistency means continuing despite occasional setbacks. Over time, these repeated efforts compound. What begins as small daily habits gradually becomes a powerful lifestyle. The person who once struggled with discipline becomes someone who naturally prioritizes growth. The person who once doubted their potential becomes someone who confidently pursues opportunities. And eventually something incredible happens. Your habits begin working for you instead of against you. Your daily routine supports your goals rather than distracting you from them. At that point, the new identity you once imagined begins feeling real. However, there is still one final step in the reinvention journey: sustaining this transformation for the long term. Because the most powerful change is not temporary improvement. The most powerful change is a new way of living that continues evolving year after year. And that is exactly what we will explore in the final part: sustaining your transformation and living your new identity. Reinventing yourself is not a single moment. It is not one dramatic decision that instantly transforms your life overnight. Real reinvention is a process, a quiet, steady transformation that unfolds through thousands of small choices made over time. At the beginning of this journey, everything may feel uncertain. You question your identity, your direction, and your potential. You begin challenging beliefs that once felt permanent. Slowly, you start experimenting with new behaviors. You build small habits that align with the person you want to become. You place yourself in environments that encourage growth instead of comfort. And gradually something begins to change. Not all at once, but piece by piece. Your mindset begins to shift. Your confidence grows through experience. The goals that once felt distant start becoming achievable. The person you once imagined becoming begins appearing in your daily actions. But sustaining this transformation requires something deeper than motivation. It requires commitment. Motivation is powerful when it first appears. It gives you the emotional energy to begin something new. It makes the idea of change feel exciting. But motivation comes and goes. Some days you will feel inspired and focused. Other days you may feel tired, distracted, or uncertain. Commitment is what carries you through those moments. Commitment means continuing the journey even when the excitement fades. It means maintaining your habits even when no one else notices. It means choosing growth again and again, even when the results are not immediately visible. One of the most important truths about transformation is that progress often feels invisible while it is happening. When you read 10 pages today, your life may not feel dramatically different tomorrow. When you practice a skill for 1 hour, you may not instantly feel like an expert, but progress compounds. Just like small financial investments grow through compound interest, small daily improvements accumulate over time. A year from now, those 10 pages per day could become several books that reshaped your thinking. A year of consistent practice could turn a beginner into someone with real expertise. 5 years of disciplined habits could transform your career, your confidence, and your opportunities. This is the quiet power of consistency. Another key element of sustaining transformation is learning how to adapt. Life will not always follow your plans. Unexpected challenges will appear. Opportunities may change your direction. Some goals you once believed were important may no longer feel meaningful as you grow. This is normal. Reinvention does not mean rigidly following one plan forever. It means continuing to evolve. The person you become in 5 years will likely have new insights, new priorities, and new dreams. Allow yourself the flexibility to grow in new directions. Your identity should not feel like a cage. It should feel like a foundation that supports your continued evolution. Another powerful habit for sustaining growth is reflection. From time to time, pause and evaluate your journey. Ask yourself questions such as, what habits have improved my life the most? Which environments help me grow? What skills should I continue developing? Reflection keeps you aware of your progress and helps you adjust your path when necessary. Without reflection, it is easy to fall into routines that no longer serve your long-term vision. But when reflection becomes part of your life, you remain intentional about your growth. One of the most rewarding aspects of reinventing yourself is the impact it can have on others. When people see someone transforming their life through discipline, courage, and persistence, it inspires them. Your growth can become a signal to others that change is possible. You may influence friends, family members, or even strangers who observe your journey. In this way, personal transformation creates a ripple effect. By becoming the best version of yourself, you indirectly encourage others to pursue their own growth. And this brings us to an important realization. Reinvention is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming intentional. Instead of drifting through life without direction, you begin shaping your future consciously. You choose the habits that define your days. You choose the environments that shape your mindset. You choose the goals that give your life meaning. Over time, these choices form a life that reflects your true potential. So if you are watching this right now and wondering whether it is possible to reinvent yourself, the answer is simple. Yes, but it begins with a decision. A decision to question the identity you have been living. A decision to explore who you could become. A decision to take small actions every day that move you closer to that future. You do not need to transform everything at once. You only need to start. Because the person you will become 5 years from now is being shaped by the choices you make today. And the most powerful thing about your future identity is this: it is still being written. Every action you take is another line in that story. So the question is no longer whether change is possible. The real question is, who do you want to become? And what will you do today to begin that transformation? Your future self is waiting. The journey begins now.